The Iron Age is officially here. I don't know if you watched Razorfist's video about this, but there's been ages in comics, in pulp fiction, in science fiction, and fantasy, and we are trying to bring about a new age, something better, something based on strength, hard work, and that's why we're calling it the Iron Age. Now, this plays into the whole system as it's gone before. The Golden Age, of course, was like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, where we had just the peak of our creative culture. The Silver Age changed things, of course, and you go into comics, it becomes a little more character focused, a little more, I'd say, dramatic. On the sci-fi side, it became a little bit more based on like science and technology rather than just pure action and adventure. The Bronze Age then came about in like the 70s and early 80s, and that was a more of continuity focused. Series really started to develop at that point. And then you get into the Copper Age, which is like the 90s, which is, of course, like electricity. It's all about flash. It's all about, trying to have a kind of a gimmick in there. After that, we went into the Dark Ages, right? And for the past like 15, 20 years, our culture has been in Dark Ages, one where people are just living off of properties before, like, and that's all that's happening. You see this with Marvel and DC being the entire comic industry in America for the last like 20 years, even though it's just bad fan fiction with identity politics all the way through it. But now with the Rippaverse, with Rageaholic making his awesome pulp novels, with what we're doing here, and with what a lot of other people are also doing, we're entering the Iron Age. This is one where independent creators do it themselves, do all the hard work, really go out there and we forge ourselves into iron so that we have a strong weapon, a strong shield in defense against the culture that is trying to suppress us at this point. It's really awesome. I'm very hype about it. I'm excited. And that's why I'm doing this video. So I'm going to do a top 5 sort of compilation of like what I see as great Iron Age channels and great Iron Age content on YouTube so that you can get involved in these circles. Some of these you'll be aware of and some of them you'll be like, okay, obviously. A couple that you won't know, though, and I want to highlight those, and that's kind of what we do on the channel. See, we do things a little differently around here than a lot of YouTube channels, and we try to highlight content creators, highlight positive content, in addition to, of course, talking about the news of what's going on in mainstream culture, because if you just complain about something and you never offer alternatives, you really never get anywhere. And that's kind of what the Iron Age is about, those alternatives being offered. So, cool. I hope you enjoy this ride with me. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you being there. If you're new to the channel, my name's John Delarose. I am a #1 best-selling author, an award-winning comic creator. I like embody the pulp mindset. So I go back to that golden age and I look at the pulp writers there like Robert E. Howard, Edgar Rice Burroughs, and others. And what they did, they had a work ethic where they were just cranking out stories left and right. I mean, they would have a new story every month in some magazine or another, maybe more. And so I'm trying to do that in comics, in novels. I'm trying to push out as much content as I possibly can. So I have this backlog. When you go and look at my catalog, if you're a new person, you're going to probably be a little overwhelmed because you're going to be like, gosh, this guy has 43 different comics and 17 novels. This is nuts. And it is. But that's how hard I work. That's how much I'm invested in creating new stories and how much I'm just going for it. I'm a little different than the average bear there, and I hope that you like it because that's what we're trying to do. That's the thing. If you become a big fan of mine, you have a lot of content to go through. It's a good thing on that level. And there's a little something for everybody because I experiment in a lot of different like subgenres and things like that, so it's good stuff. My latest offering is actually The Demon's Eye right here. I put it up on my own website. So I'm trying to follow what Rippa did by making an exclusive for my own website. This is a fantasy novel that takes place in the distant, distant future. And the colonists on a planet have lost all their technology and, of course, have been embroiled in, sort of Middle Ages style war for a while. There's an evil sorcerer who is, of course, trying to dominate everything. And there's a demon who's threatening to escape its prison. And, of course, our protagonist has to solve all of that and save the world. It's a classic tale, and it's written in a fashion that's like much like the old books, where it's like there's a lot of individual kind of stories that build into a whole. I really think you'll like it if you like the old style books and all that. And it's only $3.99, so you can get it on Kindle for like half the price of Twitter Blue. So if you want a blue check mark, this is half the price of that. It's pretty good. So I'll put this link in the description below along with all the others that I'm going to highlight for my top 5 here. So let's get into those channels that we're talking about. Number 5 is going to be one that you might not have heard of before, but it's been around for a long time. talking about my books, other people's books. I mean, just like really on top of it. These guys are hardcore into the culture, and they are real people. And that's the beauty of it. This is Geekgab with Daddy Warpig and Doranol. So every week or so, they do a stream. They talk about whatever movies they watch or whatever. They're very into role-playing games and board games and things like that. And they also highlight independent authors. So they've been doing this for years. And they've been doing it under the moniker of Pulp Revolution, or hashtag Pulp Rev. Now, that I'd say didn't quite go as viral as the Iron Age seems to be going so far, because Razorfist has a much bigger platform. But it's essentially the same thing. It's like the proto Iron Age. And so these guys are responsible for that. They've done a great job, and they are wonderful people who are worth listening to, super smart. I love hearing of the new stuff that's coming out that they're very interested in on their channel. Next up, Shadowversity. So, of course, we have the Shadow of the Conqueror comic and novel. And Shadowversity's been doing both. He's rewriting the epic fantasy into both of these mediums. It's a beautiful thing. His channel's really cool, though, because he actually gives you like historical looks into swordplay, into armor, into things like that, and then compares them to the TV shows and movies and all that you're looking at. So he actually gives a depth to like, is this realistic? Would this work for real? And so as an author or as just a fan, you can kind of get to know like how the nuts and bolts of fantasy fighting work, and it's really cool. So Shad's great, and he is my number 4, of course, for the Iron Age content channels. Number 3, I couldn't have the list without Razorfist, the Rageaholic. So he coined the term. Razorfist actually has been pushing back against mainstream culture for a long time. He has very unique takes, and of course he's so high energy. It's really fun to watch. That's always a great thing about him. But you find out about very cool different things. You find out about some old pulps that like other people don't talk about. You find out about European comics, which of course other people don't talk about. I do a little bit, but a lot of other people don't. So it's really cool because his interests really transcend and have a bigger picture of culture than a lot of others do, and that's why he's my number 3. Number 2, you probably expected to see him on the list, Young Rippa 59, Eric July. Eric July, of course, ushered in this new age with the success of ISOM. ISOM number 1 made $3.7 million on his own website. He did it on his own platform, which is so cool. I'm trying to replicate that. I don't have the following that he does, of course. But gosh, guys, so cool. It's awesome. Isom was a great book without any identity politics in it. It really just was a fun story where he's building a universe, and he's actually expanding that into a full comic book superhero universe. So he really is putting in the effort. He's doing it. He is working hard. It's the Iron Age effort, and we absolutely love it. So good stuff, number 2. All right. And you guys who are familiar with the channel are going to know the number 1 Iron Age YouTuber. You know exactly who it is if you've been on my live streams. But if you haven't, this is going to be new to you. That's right. What would this list be without the guy who is known across the internet as the number 1 Iron Age YouTuber, A Drink with Crazy? Yeah, Drink with Crazy is not a creator, which is an interesting sort of analysis. He came in as kind of a newer fan. And so he's got this, like, I'd say innocent, sort of wide-eyed, sort of like, this is awesome, like kind of just energy about all the Iron Age stuff coming out. And that's so cool. We need this really badly because that sort of thing where you're not jaded about, I guess, books and things like that. I mean, I'm very jaded and Razorfist is very jaded, but A Drink with Crazy is just like, he's just excited. He's got the sense of wonder is like what I like to call it. Back in the golden age, all those stories and all the fans back then had a sense of wonder. And once it kind of got drilled into like boomer fandom where it's like you go to the conventions and you all dress up as the same thing, it became like a conformist sort of like proto-communist thing that led us to now. I could rant about that for hours, but I'm not going to. So A Drink with Crazy really represents to me that sort of harkening back to like what excitement would be like in the golden age of comics in pulps and things like that. But he's doing it with what we have now, the Iron Age media. It's good stuff and really wonderful, supportive guy. And I think you'll enjoy the channel. Absolutely the number 1 Iron Age content guy. All right, that's it. That's my list for now. So I hope you enjoy this. Usually on YouTube shows, like when they do these kind of things, they go, well, you know, this is just an opinion. And, you know, of course, your opinion's as valid as mine. I always see that on these top lists. I don't say that. My opinions are fact. They're objective. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong and probably racist. I don't know. I try to have fun over here, guys. So let me know what you think about this. I'll leave all of these guys' YouTubes in the comment down below, and I will also leave the Demon's Eye, which is on my own website. Like I said, I'm selling this like usually on Amazon. I sell them for $4.99, and I'm actually trying to make it a little cheaper for you guys, just for like an easy entry for a novel. It's a good, quick weekend read. I think you'll enjoy it. Check it out. Thanks, guys. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts on the Iron Age. If you have other people you want to highlight, of course, bring them to my attention. I'd love to hear from you on that level. And hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.